Hi, welcome back to Celebrating Culture. We're here today at St. Francis Xavier School, and I'm with Father Palermo. Father, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
What a beautiful altar you have today.
Everybody tells me it's one of the best, and I certainly agree. It's beautiful, aesthetically beautiful, and full of a lot of love and a lot of effort by many people.
And you also feed today.
We did. We fed over 1,500 people today because we had over 1,500 plates, and we're down beyond that. So
what is the history with feeding?
So the history is, well, it goes back to the history of the altar itself, coming from Sicily, and you probably have heard the story many times. But the fact that there was a drought in Sicily, the people of Sicily prayed to Saint Joseph for rain. The rains came, the crops grew, they were saved from starvation. And in an act of thanksgiving and to fulfill a promise, they erected altars, or actually tables, in the towns and squares and villages of Sicily. And they put fruit and other food on it, and they invited the poor to come and to feast. And so that when the Sicilian immigrants came over to the United States, they brought that custom with them. And so part of it is making food available for the poor, the needy, and just really for anybody who wants to come. Anybody can come to the table.
You can see a lot of community today. A lot of people show up today and actually volunteer or actually bring stuff to the altar.
Right. We have, what was interesting today, a number of people they're non-Catholic Christians, and other people who are of a different faith completely. There were several people of Jewish faith who were here, but they're just impressed with the way we have kept this tradition of our faith going, and they feel a sense of community being part of it. And as you said, we certainly have had a few hundred people who have worked on the altar in some capacity. I can tell you that for 7 weekends on a Saturday, we had 50 to 60 people making cookies. And over those 7 Saturdays, they made 35,000 cookies.
Wow.
And in addition to that, we had many people helping to set up altars, many people helping with cooking, different organizations and associations from our parish, people from outside of our parish who have been helping out. And we will have yet other organizations that will bring all of the food that remains from the St. Joseph altar. Not the special food we set aside to make lunch for people, but from the altar, we're going to have trucks and vans going in various different directions to homeless shelters and to other charity outreaches that the church has. So we'll be able to provide again for needy people.
Wow. Now I understand a gentleman named Jack Siciliano. He's been ran it for several years.
Yes, Jack's been involved from the beginning. I'm new here, so this is only my 7th month, and I found out that Jack has been involved with this from the beginning, so for the past 20 years. And it started off relatively small. I've actually seen some of the photographs of the first few altars. They're very modest, not like the extravaganza that we have today, as more and more people have gotten involved. But yeah, Jack is certainly a good person to talk to.
Are there tourists that are coming here that are visiting New Orleans for other reasons?
Well, I have met people from several other places around Louisiana, as well as from out of state. There was a man who told me today that he flies in every year from Virginia and schedules some of his vacation time here so that he can participate in the St. Joseph altar, because they don't have this at the Catholic Church where he worships, or any place in his area. So yes, we're promoting the tourist economy locally. So,
and there's another part of the altar where I see "in memory of" on the altar.
Right. So it is a custom, in addition to the pastries, the breads, the fruit, the other food items, and all of the religious articles and flowers, everything that's decorative. There's a custom of having a picture of a deceased loved one. Sometimes it's somebody who has died recently, and so whatever is contributed to the altar is contributed in honor and in memory of that person, and in continuing prayers for that person. Other times, some of the pictures, you can tell that they're quite dated, and that the people in them probably died many years ago, but the family still remembers them. And I've heard from a number of the people today that they put pictures on the altar for members of their family who were involved in St. Joseph altars when they were alive, whether it was for church or in their own home.
I know in my family, a lot of people, St. Joseph's altars were very special, and I could see that that'd be a great way where the family comes together to reconnect for that memory.
Right. I think that there's a great deal of sentiment that I've experienced from the people who, look forward to this annual opportunity to remember a deceased family member, and the St. Joseph altar connects to their memories of that person and the good, fond feelings that they have. And of course, I think that there's a great faith connection in all of this too. Many people are their Catholic faith is strengthened by their participation in the St. Joseph altar. It reminds them of the devotional life of the church, the great saints we have praying for us, and of course, foremost among those would be St. Joseph.
Sure. Now, in the beginning, right after the blessing, there is a small meal for children representing Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Tell us about that.
So that's how we started off today. We started off this morning at 8 o'clock with Mass in the church, a Mass in honor of St. Joseph. We had a very, very large attendance at the Mass. And then we processed over. We had 5 adults, actually. We didn't have children, but we had 5 adults representing Jesus, Mary, Joseph. And we had two ladies representing St. Lucy and St. Bernadette because of their special devotion to those saints. And then we had 3 school children who were angels, and they accompanied the Holy Family as they went from house to house in Bethlehem looking for a place where Mary could deliver her baby. And they would be turned away at several places, and then finally they come to the front of the auditorium where a table is set, and I, as the innkeeper, standing in for the innkeeper, say, yes, the table is set, the food is ready, the banquet is primed to be served, please come in and be seated. And then I proceed to serve them the traditional St. Joseph's altar meal. So it's a sign of hospitality.
Wonderful. Yeah. And if anybody wants to find out more, is it stfrancisxavier.com?
stfrancisxavier.com. Yes, that's our. And when you pull that up, you can go to the church or to the school. If you go to the church, you'll find all that we have on the St. Joseph altar is on that particular part of our website.
Well, Father, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
And stay tuned, and we'll be right back with more of Celebrating Culture.